This is the Mindspace TV show. Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Mindspace TV show. I remain your host, Fauzia Zakaria. Have you ever wondered about the intersection between your physical fitness and your mental health? If you have and are still searching for answers, I have a leading sports development expert here in the studio with us to answer these questions. But before we get into it, we're going to go for a short break. Stay tuned. As Africans, whenever we hear the words mental health or therapy, we often think in extremes, being mad or roaming the streets. On this show, we're here to change that narrative. Together, we'll explore practical real-life solutions, speak to leading mental health experts in Africa, and correct false assumptions. This is not just about awareness, we are about action.
If your sexual health is not in a good state, have someone you can talk to.
You can go to therapy to better yourself.
I'm Fauzia Zakaria, and this is the Mindspace TV show. Healing begins with understanding, and understanding begins here. Welcome back to the Mindspace TV show. With me here, I have a leading sports development expert, Mr. Chima Okoli. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good day. It's my pleasure to be here.
It's wonderful to have you here. Could you introduce yourself to us? Tell us a little bit more about you.
I'm Chima Ernesto Okoli. I'm a sports development expert and in the broader context, a sustainable development expert. One of the very important things I do is I try to ensure that we meet our needs for today without jeopardizing the chances of us meeting our needs tomorrow. So it is important that we have needs and we have challenges and we have to face them today. However, it's not just to think in the short term, right? I help organizations, I help individuals juggle both short-term effectiveness and long-term effectiveness.
Wow, it sounds like you do a lot of work, well done, right? But here today, we want to, focus on the intersection between your physical health and your mental health. Can you tell us how connected they are? How does my body affect my brain? How does my body affect my mind, my emotional wellness?
So I will do this both if you are watching and you're in the audience, but I will just use you as my test. So can you frown?
I think.
Angry face. How do you feel?
Like I'm trying to be angry.
Yeah. Can you smile and laugh? So how do you feel?
Like I'm trying to laugh or to be happy.
So do you feel a little bit goofy and funny when you laugh?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's it. The truth of the matter is that there is a cyclic movement between our physical expressions and our mental expression. I think, therefore I am. So to laugh, you have to think about, oh, I want to laugh. Then your body responds, right? So you can set up feedback loops and feedback mechanisms by forcing your body, your physical elements to actually take a particular posture or force yourself into a particular mood. I believe you me, it works. When you feel angry and all of that, tell yourself, oh, I just want to laugh, and laugh for some 2-3 minutes. You find out that you are feeling better. So there is just a cyclic movement. Cyclic, very important. That word cyclic. We've talked about the water cycle and all of those things. So evaporation affects rainfall and all of that. Yeah, so that's how it is. You cannot possibly talk about your mental health and alienate your physical body. It doesn't work that way.
Wow. That's cyclical. That's what I'm taking out of your answer. And for this cyclical thing, whenever I hear physical fitness, of course, my mind goes to exercise. So are you saying that exercise and, mental health, maybe when you are stressed or when you have anxiety, are you saying that exercise and those things are connected? If you do one might get better?
So research has proven that the more you move about, the more you release endorphins in your brain. And for some of us who are neurodivergent also, so I have ADHD, yay. So for some of us, we live off dopamine and it affects our executive function, right? It means you cannot actually separate your mental health from your physical health. Exercising and physical movement, they release endorphins and dopamines. In the meantime, it may look like you are tired and it's making you weaker, but over time, in the long run, remember I said we are juggling both short term and long term. So in the long run, you find out that the things that will stress you before wouldn't stress you as much. The things that will piss you off before wouldn't piss you off as much, just because you have already pissed yourself off earlier in the morning. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So you don't prepare for war during the war season. You prepare for war before there is war. You prepare for war during peace. It is foolishness to try to learn to use a sword in battle. No, you do it
before the battle.
Before the battle.
Wow. You've opened up a lot with this. Are you also saying that, other forms of things related to mental health and mental wellness is also affected by your physical health? Can you shed light on maybe sleep? Is it affected to sleep, with our sleep? Does it affect our sleep? Our resilience. Resilience is a key word in, mental health and your mental wellness. Doing this physical sport and exercise, do they improve our resilience? Do they improve our sleep patterns? Do they improve our emotional wellness?
It is important to note that your mental health takes into account every single thing that you do. So your physical performance is so important, and this is where I push for routines and I push for exercises. As a person, every single thing that affects your physical body in turn affects your mental health. It may not happen quid pro quo. It may not happen in the next 30 seconds. It may take some 30 years. So everything that you need to survive, including what you eat, your sleeping patterns, your exercising, everything that has to do with this physical body, it goes on to affect your mental health. Let me give an example. Say someone is depressed, right? And they begin to stress eat. They eat, they put on weight, it affects their breathing also. So it affects their ability to sleep, especially in very interesting seasons like Harmattan seasons or winter or something, where the air is actually a lot more dense. There's this cyclic feedback loop. At the end of the day, the person finds out that, I'm obese now, I've put on so much weight, I no longer look like myself and all of that. Then it affects their self-concept. And at the end of the day, it affects their mental health. So when we are talking of things like resilience, they cannot even properly begin to think of grit and resilience, because at that point in time, they do not even know who they are. Because, I weigh XYZ amount, I look this way, I do all of that. That has changed because you began stress eating, right? So it behoves on us as human beings to put in systems, things that we do whether we like it or not, and build our self-concept based on those systems. Not necessarily how we look and all of those things. If we don't do that, then our self-concept and all of that will now have to be dependent on, this is how I look, someone told me so and so and all of that. But if I begin to see myself as I'm a person who exercises every day, then boom, I begin to see myself like a person that exercises. Not because I have necessarily had toned muscles and all of that, but I'm just a person that exercises. I'm a person who eats healthy. Then the cabbage may not, and ugu and bitter leaf, it may no longer taste so bitter, and I may not look out for ice creams and all of those things. So we have to intentionally build our systems and base our self-concept off of those systems, because as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. If we leave it to chance and we leave it to other people to tell us who we are and all of those type of things, then things like resilience and grit will be thrown out of the window when crisis hits. So yes, every single thing that affects, from your sleeping, the words that you say to yourself, it goes a long way. And finally, for exercises, you push yourself to the limit every day. that you wake up and you do the same exercise. I'll use myself as an example. Earlier in the year, I stayed with just 2 push-ups. I had an issue with my hand, so I couldn't, my hand strength wasn't the best. I did 1 year of physical therapy, physiotherapy. And when I was done with that, I needed to build wrist strength. And so I couldn't do push-ups for a while. And I began with 2 push-ups. And in some 12, 13 months now, I'm able to do some 70 in a day. So the goal is to start with that very little. You are not Superman. You are not Superwoman. The goal when we are talking of sustainability and development as a whole, is to start where you are, from where you are with what you have now, not tomorrow. So the goal is not to do 1,000,000,001 things. No. Later on, I believe I'll show you a few things that you can do on your bed before even getting up to get around your daily activities. You can, on your bed right there, just begin to set yourself up for just little things without inconveniencing yourself so much so, and you find out that you build your system, you build your self-concept based off of those systems that you've put in place, so that you don't lose yourself along the way. Every single thing counts. Every small investment in yourself, in your life, in your future, they go a long way.
Wow. You've dropped some major nuggets that I think I will personally learn from, and I'm sure the audience will learn from. When you say building systems that will in turn inform your self-identity, basically, right? Because then you tell yourself, I am someone who exercises, I am someone who eats healthy, I am someone who, focuses at work, I am someone who, you just try to build these systems, right? So now the issue is, how will I build these systems, right? You mentioned that you didn't just wake up doing 70 push-ups today. You had to start, like Rome was not built in a day. But how would I start building Rome? How would I build these systems that would in turn build me and my self-identity?
Okay. Thank you so much. That is a very interesting question. That could be a masterclass of several hours. But I would condense it in a few steps. Number 1, the most important thing to do is start with the end goal. Who do you want to become at the end of the day? Forget about what it is now. Who is the type of person that you want to become at the end of the day? A lot of us start a new diet, start new exercise regimes, and we stop at the middle of the road, some 7 days, some 20 days, some even 40 days, because we did not do this very important foundational thing, right? Who is the type of person that you believe that you want to be? Who is that person that you want to be? Once you discover that person, for myself, everybody in my village has a very wonderful 1-pack. Ujari Mamanu. How you know you are from my village is that there's a protruding belly, right? And some 2 years ago, I began to develop that that particular thing. I had to catch myself and say, no, Chiba, this is not you. You are going to be very fit, trim, and proper in your 60s. So you have to begin to invest for that particular time. So I'll use that as an example. So I didn't want the signature village 1-pack. I needed to have a trimmer body, a better, well put together abdomen. I'm not saying 6-pack, so nobody goes to look for. Yeah, so that's that. The second thing is you start little. See, there's a reason. Start small, very small. A lot of us, we overestimate ourselves. It's very difficult for human beings to properly estimate themselves. We naturally just want to overestimate ourselves because we know what we are capable of. Well, hey sir, there's a reason why you have not been doing it before. Yeah, so start like a beginner. Give yourself the permission to start like a beginner. So I began doing abdominals that didn't cost so much to put together. Why? Because I didn't want to have the signature 1-pack that many in my village had. I wanted to be an outlier. So I began very little. I started with abdominals, about 10, just a set of 10 per day. And now I can do as much as 20, 40. So the third thing that you have to do when you start small is you have to now begin to develop, gradually just push it a bit. Gradually just push it a bit. I mean, from 10, you can move on to 15. Or you can even move up to 12. 12 is a big landmark. And when you do that, you begin to find out that your tolerance level increases. The fourth very important thing is confess your belief. So I'm talking about not having a signature one pack. So all of you can hold me accountable. When you begin to say, oh, I'm this type of person, although you do not yet have it as it were physically, you're going to attract other people with similar goals, and they are going to help you keep you accountable. In fact, those without even the same type of goal can look at you and be like, oh, that's great. You are eating this, but you said that you don't want to have that big one pack. And you create that accountability system. So when you speak about the type of person that you are now, because you have already begun to do and you are already beginning to push your threshold, you attract people around you, and before you know, everybody knows you for it, and you have that accountability system. 2 years, 3 years down the line, you find out that you have achieved your goal and there's no other way to live around it. I hope that was practical enough.
I really loved the personal example, and I think that's something that our audience and everyone will be able to connect to. You get, it might not be the one pack issue, it might be something else, but you have to begin to tell yourself that goal, who you want to be, and you have to start saying, I am that person right now, so you start working towards it. Thank you very much. We've learned a lot, but we're going to go on a short break right now, and when we come back, we're going to speak about specific exercises that can help us alleviate stress and build resilience. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Candid Conversations. This is that show that offers unfiltered glimpse into the real stories of some of today's most impactful leaders. In a world that often celebrates the final products of success, Candid Conversations takes you behind the scenes to uncover the personal struggles, doubts, fears, failures that have shaped the leaders we admire today. In each episode, we sit down with people who have made their mark across different industries: media, politics, entertainment, business, entrepreneurship, and beyond. And we have honest, thought-provoking conversations around their personal and professional journeys. The goal of the show is simple. It is to go beyond their accomplishments and accolades and uncover the raw, emotional stories that rarely make the headlines. My name is Blessing Okebe, your host, and this show is coming to you live from Universal TV Africa. Let's get into these conversations.
Welcome back to this wonderful episode of the Mindspace TV show. If you haven't been here, we've been talking to Mr. Chima Okoli, who is a sports development expert, and he's been talking to us about the intersection between physical fitness and mental health. We've learned a lot about, goal setting and doing those small things that would increase later. And we're going to go back to you, Mr. Chima. You've explained a lot about starting small and then building those goals and then making them, inform your self-identity, because these are things that you can depend on. These are processes you can depend on. How about if someone is feeling, let's go specific, someone is feeling a lot of stress, there is a lot of things going on around them that they cannot control. What are some exercises that they can use to mediate that stress? What are common, simple forms of exercises, specific ones that people can use in those sorts of situations?
Okay, thank you so much. That's a very specific question. Wow. So when one is feeling stressed and it is difficult to think, right, there are two important things that I would just throw off the top of my head. Two important physical exercises or physical expressions that can further inform and alleviate the stress issue. The first most important one is breathing exercises. Yeah, many times we are stressed because we can't think clearly because our breathing is not deep enough. Permit me to, so if you put your hand here on your belly, right? And when we say taking a deep breath, almost all of us do. That is not a deep breath. You are just filling up the top of your lungs. So I need you to think like you are filling your belly with air, right? Okay. So when you place your hand on your belly and I say breathing, filling your belly with air. So you also did, but try to reduce. So filling your belly, just imagine that you're filling your belly with air. Can you feel that protrusion? Then breathe out with a shh. So if you do this some 10, 15 times, you can just do it 5 in 5 reps. You find out that there's some level of clarity. You are watching your breathing, both with volume and both, in taking it in and bringing it out, that also just helps elevate some part of the stress. And that is so important. That can clear the air, can get you to just calm down and begin to see things a little clearer. Now, this can be very useful if you are in a tight space, you are at work and all of that, right? Without disturbing everybody, you can quickly just do this quietly or lock yourself in the restroom and get that done and get some form of clarity. If you have more time and you are free, you could go on a run or a jog. Just jog. Count your steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. By the time you get to the 15th, 16th, 17th lap, I mean, whatever pace is comfortable for you, you just find out that there's an overwhelming clarity that comes upon you. Now, you're no longer thinking about any of those things that stress you up. You are just focusing on your pacing. And in that particular focus, you'll be able to even get solutions to some of the challenges that you perhaps were not thinking of. So our subconscious mind is so powerful. A lot of times we just need to get out of the conscious state to tap a little bit into the subconscious. And with these two very quick examples, try it and you'll find out that you gain a lot more clarity, especially with regards to stressful situations.
From what I'm hearing, it seems that a lot of movement actually helps in times of stress and, when you're trying to de-stress. How about, we are a community, basically. Africans live in community. So what would you say about group sort of physical activity or group fitness? And you mentioned accountability earlier. If that person is coming to you and saying, you said that you don't want a one pack, you want to be leaner, right? Is it beneficial to sort of carry that person along in your journey? So what would you say group fitness or community sort of exercising systems, what would they do for you?
So thank you for that question again. I have a two-faceted answer to that group fitness. Group initiatives as regards mental health and the physical expression now that, and exercises and all those physical movements that further impact our mental health. It can be very dicey with the group. It is very much encouraged, but first of all, because all of us, we are not at the same level, and some people are weak where some other people are strong and all of that, I would not recommend you basing your self-concept. That is so important. You call it identity. So let me delve into identity, something that a lot of us would rather remember. So I would not want you to base your personal identity on any of the groups, because the leader may give up along the line and it can undo all that work that you have done. So your self-identity, your personal identity is something that only you are responsible for, and you are the major watchdog and the guardian of that. When you have that in place and it is not dependent on anybody, then you will naturally find groups of people that also have similar expressions of self-concept, similar expressions of identity, and you can bond around it. So anybody in that group that perhaps changes their self-concept or is beginning to experience a decline, it would hardly affect you. Instead, you people who personally are confident and are established in your own belief can now help that other person get back on their feet. But if all of your self-concept is based on a group, as it were, whoever initiated that group, God forbid, should they decline and should they begin to pursue other things, it can affect every other person. So we don't want a strike the shepherd, the sheep will scatter scenario. Be confident, first of all, in yourself. You are the only person you can control at the end of the day as regards physical exercise. It's not something another person can do for you. So first of all, be rooted in yourself. We have people who are paid for gym memberships and at the end of the day did not even attend because they first of all paid before they got their self their self-concept right. So get your self-concept first of all. Even if it means just going and walking around without doing anything, do that for 30 days before you even begin to lift anything or do anything. Yeah, and communities like mytherapist.ng, which is specialized with mental health issues, can also help keep you accountable. And you know you don't have to leave your house. These are trained professionals, so there's no case of, oh, they wake up tomorrow and they tell you, oh, your physical fitness doesn't matter, your mental health doesn't matter. I mean, it's an organization. These are people who are trained. So when you are doing that, that is great. Interact with the community and all of that. But most importantly, nobody should set your self-concept for you. It is your responsibility. Now, who wears shoe, know where they pin them.
You are the major watchdog for your self-concepts and your self-identity, so you should not put it in the hands of others. When you have clearly defined your self-identity and your self-concept, then it will be easier to find people around you who, you know, are working towards common goals, and then you can band together with them. That's what I got from your fantastic answer, basically. We also have questions from our campus ambassadors, right? They saw this topic and they'd like to know a few things. And, you know, one of the questions is motivation. It's great to say, I want to be this sort of person. But where would you find the motivation to work out, even when you're feeling low? You mentioned sometimes when you're depressed. Sometimes when you're depressed, you just want to stay in your bed, hide under your covers, and hide from the world. So how do you find the motivation to go out, to exercise, to do something that would actually help your depression?
You don't prepare for war during war. You prepare for war in the days of peace. So you don't wait until you are depressed to begin to prepare. And that's why self-concept is so important. So the primary essence of your self-concept and your identity is to get you to that mental space that you begin to look out for things that align with that particular value. Once you have your self-concept right, you will search for videos online, you search for communities, you search for people, and algorithms are trained right now to refer things that are in your interest. So once that self-identity has been deeply rooted, you may stumble on any social media app or something like that, and you find a video because it's something you have been consuming on other days, and you find it. And there's another very important trick of sustainable development and even fitness, I should know. The days where you get the highest reward for your exercises are those days that you don't feel like doing it. So do it anyway. Just know that day that you feel like, oh my God, I'm so tired, I don't think I should do this. That should be the day that you just remind yourself that, oh, all the days that I've been exercising was a build up to this particular day. Today is the D-Day. Believe you me, by the time you get to exercise that day, the day changes dramatically. Anybody who has done it, anybody who has done what they are supposed to do on a day where they felt like, oh my God, I'm so tired and all of that. If you have actually done it, that day you begin to reap rewards bountifully. I mean, so this also is another thing as regards motivation that I would say, keep it somewhere, store it in your heart. The days when you don't feel like it, those are the days that you really should do it. And that was a very interesting question.
Thank you. From another campus ambassador, they want to know how to find time, you know, or make time for fitness when they have such a busy schedule, right? You know, there are people that their days are accounted for. When you have such a busy schedule, how do you find time to exercise?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. You know, one of the things I would say as regards time management is that time passes whether we know it, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, right? So you don't manage time, you manage yourself. Very important. You don't manage time, you manage yourself. There are two very important periods in your life that nobody can take away from you. Nobody normally expects you to perform magic. Once you wake up and before you sleep. There is very little expectation there. And when we talk about physical fitness, I'm not one of those people that will say, oh, you must do an hour workout and all of that. Those things are glorified in the media. If you have the time and you have the resources and you have the spaces to do all of those, that's great. But in 10-15 minutes, you can do enough cardio and everything. I mean, just before you leave your bed, in 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, you can do enough. And if you are consistent in that 10, 15 minutes, it compounds. And in 3 years, in 4 years, you find out that you have spent months. If you get those 3 to 15 minutes together, you find out that you have done a lot more than people that just do intensity. See, it is not, I would like to allude to the rabbit and the hare and the turtle story. It is not who can do it quickly. It's not who can do it quickest. It's who can be more consistent. So 10, 15 minutes, I believe everybody can do that when you wake up. You can make out 10, 15 minutes to get that done.
Wow. Thank you very much. And one key thing that I would take from this is just to start, and then start slow. When you start slow, you begin to build systems like you mentioned before. And when you build systems, that would then solidify your self-concept and your self-identity. So I have learned a lot about exercise and about the simple things that I can do at home, about how they improve the mood, how they improve mindfulness, how they, de-stress. I think I have learned a lot, and I'm sure the audience has learned a lot about the intersection between your mental health and your physical fitness. Thank you very much, Mr. Chimakoli, for sharing your nuggets of wisdom. Remember, you can always go to the mytherapist.ng app and have access to different therapists with different specializations that will help you in your journey and also help you keep you accountable on your physical fitness journey. As we always say here, healing begins with understanding, and understanding begins here. I remain your host, Fauzia Zakaria, and I cannot wait to see you at our next episode. Thank you.